Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's cryptocurrency analysis. And today we'll be starting the day by looking at BTC or Bitcoin, right? Yesterday we had the much anticipated news of the FOMC meeting, right? And we saw some huge volatility on the charts, right? Presently, we can see the price of Bitcoin is at 20,309, which is about a 0.4 percentage increase in the price. And as regard the chart, we saw some little volatility as regard the FOMC meeting, and then we pushed up a little and went down, and now we've pushed up a little, right? And so we could just see that just it has been just a week having a lot of volatility on the chart, we moving up and down, right? Just a lot of things for Bitcoin, right? Not much change as regards the FOMC meeting. A lot of longs obviously were liquidated, and then we pushed down to the downside, and a lot of people opened shorts, and now we are pushing to the upside. So we'll be going to the charts to look at what we expect from the price of Bitcoin in the next few minutes, hours, days, and even weeks, right? If you like the channel, please make sure you click on the subscribe button, make sure you click on the like button, make sure you share with your friends. Let's move to the charts. All right, today we'll be starting with this chart on the monthly to give us a better overview as to what the price of Bitcoin is doing, right? And as you can see, we closed the monthly chart like quite bullish, right? Because this is the first time we've had a higher high or a higher low, right? This is a higher low, right, on the chart. So it looks quite bullish, right? But we still need to be careful, as I will be showing you on the chart, that I believe this is a fake out, and we probably would have a lot of downside coming up in the next few days. As you can see, we've probably just been ranging, right, for the time being, and we're expecting a move probably this week, right? So please be careful with your trades, right? If we move down to the weekly begins to give us more insight, right, as to what's happening on the chart. And so we pushed up right down to the 21,000, right? We came back down to the support at 21,100. As you can see, we got it right on the alligator line, right on this EMA. As you can see, retesting the EMA, right? And this looks quite bullish, right? But if we come to our indicators, right, we always knew that every single time our oscillator was right oversold, we knew that that was the best time to buy. And in this case, every single time we came up, a higher correction was coming up. As you can see, same thing happened here. The oscillator was probably at the lowest around round. We pushed up a bit, right, on the weekly, right, hit the EMAs, right, and then we push downwards, right? Because you can see we're oversold on the stochastic, right? Now the same thing is happening, right? We're getting very, very oversold on the stochastic, and we need to cool down a bit. And that's why I believe that we might correct down a little bit, probably down to the 19,000, 19,600, 700 a bit before we go move up. But overall, I believe Bitcoin is very, very bullish, right? And we are holding our long-term right portfolios. But for the meantime, I believe there's still one more push downwards, right, before we have our big push to the upside, right? And if we move over to our 3 days time frame, same thing. 3 days time frame is telling us that we are quite bullish, right? But we could still have a rejection. As you can see, the EMA has been or rejecting us, right? It rejected. We got a rejection here at 21,000. Got a rejection here at 21,800. So same thing. We're also having a rejection on the EMAs, right? And so probably we should expect, right, our EMA is actually coiling up, right? But until we see the green EMA, right, like go above the blue EMA, as you can see, right? Every single time we went above, we pushed up, and so until we see that, that is when we could be confident that Bitcoin is bullish even on the 3 days time frame, right? And as you can see, another red flag which I spoke about, as you can see, every time we came to the oversold region, we dumped, right? Came to the right, not necessarily oversold, right? Now, but we are very, very oversold, right? Okay, now this is the RSI on the 3 days time frame for Bitcoin. As you can see, every single time we came to the oversold region, we dumped. Came to the oversold region, we dumped. And for now, we're getting around the oversold region. So probably we could push up a bit and then we'll have a large dump for the stochastic to correct downwards. But probably on the overall, we are quite very, 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 very bullish, right? We've been saying that right from the lows at around the 19,200 that we are bullish and we should expect, right, a big push up in the price. And we've seen the big push up, right? We're just having a correction, but overall, we are bullish. If we switch over to the daily time frame, the daily time frame gives us a lot of information as to what is going to happen next to Bitcoin, right? Most of the time, as you can see, still rejected by EMAs, right? We flipped bullish and we are testing the EMAs now, right? And most of the time, the way these EMAs work is that when the first EMA can't support us, probably you usually go to the blue one, right? And so probably we could see us get to the 19,700 as I've said. So everything looks that we really need to correct a bit down to the 19,000 before we push up a bit. So like I'm still saying Bitcoin is very bullish, right? Yeah, we might be in the bear market, but I believe that the bottom is in and probably we're just having some little sideways action of accumulation, right? Because if you look at the chart, you will know that this is an accumulation range and heavy accumulation is going on, and that is exactly what you should be doing at the moment, right? Accumulating for the long term play, right? And as you can see, we're getting rejected here probably by this EMA, and probably we should see a downward move, probably toward the midterm elections. I think we have the midterm elections at the 8th of May, so probably we should see a retracement downwards, right? Probably to the 19,800 to the 19,700 level, right? If we go down to our indicators, right? Same thing, we have a bearish divergence on the MACD on the daily, as you can see, quite huge bearish divergence. So probably we could see the MACD come down a bit, right? We have to correct before we begin to go up. Same thing with the stochastic, as we have been saying that we need to see this stochastic, right, come down a bit, right? Same thing with the RSI. So we need to see them cool down a bit before we can have more upward price action. So we really need to cool down a bit before we could see a huge move to the upside. If we move over to the 12 hours, right? As you can see, our alligator on the 12 hours is pushing downwards. And every single time we have pushed downwards, as you can see is the case here, we have had a significant push to the downside. And as you can see from all our high time frame analysis, right, everything is pointing probably that we need to move downwards, probably to the 19,600 stroke 19,700 level. And I'll be showing you in other charts why I believe we have pockets of liquidity at that place and why we should push up. As you can see, right, the EMAs are already turning bearish and probably we should move down in a bit, right? So as you can see with our RSI, it's still up a bit, so we still have further downward price action to go, right? The stochastic is quite oversold on the 12 hourly, so probably we could push up a bit, right? We could push up a bit before coming down, but as you can see, the MACD is also bearish, so we could have some little sideways action before we drop. So that's it for this chart. If we move over to this chart, right, the blue signifies pockets of liquidity, right, on the Bitcoin chart, right? So probably as you can see on the daily time frame, let's look at the weekly time frame, right? As you can see, the weekly time frame, nothing much, right? Same thing as we've been having, right? Much just a sideways action. But if we look at the 3 days time frame, so the 3 days time frame gives us an insight into what is happening. So these are what we call the EMA ribbons, right? And then price really respects the EMA ribbon, and that's why we love such an indicator. So it's not sentimental, it's not biased, right? And this blue right here are pockets of liquidity on the chart, and so this liquidity acts with the order flow, right? And so we could see that there is a huge number of sell orders right at this point, right down from the 20,700 right down to the 25,000. So we have huge sell orders, right? And that doesn't mean that the price can't push up. Price can actually push up. It's just trying to tell us that there's a lot of shorts that have been built around this range, right? So if we are not able to push above this pockets of liquidity, right, then we should come back to retest. And it's telling us that we also have a lot of buy orders at the 18,000 region, right? If we look at our indicators, right, on the 3 hour region, as you can see, our oscillator is already uh, our strength index on money flow is already printing a sell order, and probably our oscillator is trying right to move to the upside, right? So quite some bit of an indecision there, right? If we move over to the daily time frame, right? The daily time frame gives us more insight as we see price coming back to retest the EMA ribbons. If we can push up, that looks very bullish, right? Our next price point should be at 21,800, as you can see on the chart, right? And so the next high pocket of liquidity is around the 20,800 stroke 900, right? If we can push above this sell orders here, we should see price at the 21,800. And so we're still bullish on the daily, right? But if you see uh, our oscillator has just begun to turn downward. So probably we should see price come to the next support at 19.5. And so you see we have a huge support of liquidity at the 19,500, right? Same thing with our money flow. Money flow is saying quite a little amount of money is leaving the Bitcoin market. So probably we should push down a little bit. Our oscillator telling us also having a bearish, right? Sign. As you can see, we're going down. So probably we should move down. All the chart is telling us that probably we should see a downward push any time in the week. Probably in the week, we should see a downward push, probably to the 19,000. And if we see any upward move, probably we should see Bitcoin around 21,000. So be very careful with your trades around this point, right? Make sure you are not over leveraging yourself, right? Because we could see a heavy push either ways. If we move over to the 12-hour time frame, as you can see, they are still bullish. The EMA ribbons are still bullish. And when the EMA ribbons, when the red ribbon is below the yellow ribbon, that shows we are still bullish on that time frame. And as you can see, we are still above the EMA ribbon, so that shows that we are very bullish, even though there is a lot of sell pressure. As you can see, the blue, a lot of sell pressure above. If we can overcome this sell pressure, right, we should see ourselves at the 21,800. Like I said, a lot of also support below the price. So probably we could see a sideways movement before it drop. Let's look at our indicators, right? Oscillator is saying we should go down a bit, right? This is a huge sell signal on the oscillator. So probably we should see further price, selling price action to the next support at the 19,500 or probably the 19,900, right? If we can see our money flow is around saying it's an indecision as it's probably at the middle ground. So we could see both money flow and oscillator. Oscillator is trying to tell us, right, that we still have further downward price action to go. And if we look at the 4 hourly time frame, now this is what confirms that my thesis that we are probably going to move downwards a bit. As you can see, price is below our EMA ribbon, so this is actually bearish, right? So when price comes below the EMA ribbons, it shows that we're bearish, even though we have lots of support below price, right? So we should see price come down probably to the next heavy support at the 19,700. If we look at our indicators, we could see, right, money flow is actually a little bullish, right, on the 4 hourly time frame. So same thing with our oscillator. Our oscillator is at an indecision point. So I will be very careful right now, right? We could see a little push upwards and then the major move downwards. So I'll really be careful with my trades right now. If I was trading, right, I would just maybe wait and watch the chart. But for our long-term viewers, this is the time to really accumulate as much Bitcoin as you should. So if you like the channel, please click on the like button, click on the subscribe button. Have a wonderful day.